3 monsters that looked like they were made from mud and stone attacked the candidates, but they fought back using their own unique skills and successfully defeated the monster. Their supervisor clapped and praised them. He told them that they were impressive. He added that such decisive combat intuition, despite this being their first real battle, makes them fit to be called a player. Taehyun is pissed off. He was unlucky to be part of the first discovery team. Upon looking at the Ma Do-hak's ring, it is called the Sage's Ring. It is unique for it boosts strength, stamina, speed, mana for 10 times. With that, Taehyun was certain that the double dungeon, Apocalypto, is definitely an S rank, and he knew that if he gets swept in, his current self, whose predation is sealed, won't survive. With determination, he planned not to let them find the Apocalypto. Their team then came to a stop. The path diverges, and they asked their supervisor, Ma Do-hak, on what they should do. Do-hak told them that it happens all the time when exploring dungeons. He suggested that they should take a majority vote, but before he could finish his sentence, Taehyun bolted at the speed of light. They were all shocked. Do-hak scolded him for acting on his own, so he advised him to come back. While running, he told them that it will be okay and encouraged them to go on the path that he chose. He thought about why he would leave it to him to decide. He ran off like a child while telling them to come. His intention is for them to take a different route. Ma Do-han was worried, but Taehyun urged them to follow him. In his mind, rather than letting them find Apocalypto, he would just rather die instead. Do-hak and the other candidates chased after him. He was elated for guiding the way, until he stopped on his tracks because there's a gate before him. They were all surprised to see a gate inside the dungeon, but Taehyun knew it was the double dungeon, Apocalypto. He cursed for going through a whole maze, yet that is where he ended up. A candidate then suddenly wanted to check it out. In panic, Taehyun ordered everyone to stop. His reaction elicited confusion from the team. He raised his tone and asked them if they couldn't see it at the first glance. He explained that another gate different from the dungeon's entrance is weird, no matter what angle it is. He suggested that they report an unusual incident before anything. He wanted to get the support of Do-hak in that idea. Do-hak replied that it's his first time seeing something like that, and as per the rules, Do-hak confirmed that reporting to the HQ would be the right thing to do. Taehyun let out a sigh of relief, but he was surprised with Do-hak's next statement. Do-hak suggested that they should go inside, but he explained that the mana that he is sensing from the gate, unlike its appearance, isn't dangerous. He added that besides, it's merely a D-ranked dungeon. He continued to say that whether the association prepared the gate or it was an unusual occurrence, exploring it will definitely score the team good points.
Points? Yeah, right. I bet he's already scheming to capitalize on this discovery. Not only would it bring him fame, but it might also boost his player ranking. If you ask me, he's just talking out of his rear.
Due to his mixed emotions, he raised his voice and asked Do-hak if he's out of his mind. He pointed a finger at Taehyun and asked if a member of a team who doesn't even know how to cooperate should be saying that. Taehyun got angry. Do-hak concluded that everything is decided. Taehyun tried to protest and urged him to give it another thought, but Do-hak had already snapped his finger, and they saw a white light. It covered the whole place. It was so bright that only their silhouette was seen. Taehyun was surprised and horrified. They all went through the gate. Do-hak was stunned at what he saw. They stood in a large hallway leading towards a massive statue, and everything around them is covered in red glow. The massive statue at the end holds a sword. On a closer look, its face is covered in a veil, and its eye sockets are hollow. The candidates questioned Do-hak on what's going on, and if he's really sure that it's a D-ranked dungeon. Taehyun told all of them to shut up and look in front of them. One of the candidates was annoyed with him for being rude, but he did not pay attention and told them that something was coming, and he was right. 2 figures are moving towards them, and these figures looked exactly the same as the statue. Upon seeing it, they recognized that it was an A-rank Death Knight, and they panicked. They wondered how those A ranks were there. Do-hak felt a sense of doom. He instructed everyone to get ready for battle. The Death Knights rushed towards them and sliced them with their swords. The candidates screamed in fear while Dohak evaded the attack. He used his powers against those he called filthy monsters. Lava suddenly appeared below the Death Knights, and after a few seconds, the lava formed into sharp blades, and it pierced right through their opponents. The Death Knights groaned, but it had no effect on them. Dohak saw that as a chance and told everyone to attack. He strategized and told them to use fire and flash at maximum to cover the monster's sight, and then he instructed the one with the shield to defend the front line. The candidates exactly followed his strategy. The Death Knights laid on the ground. All of them were breathing heavily as they observed the bodies. The only female candidate uttered that they're finally safe. Another Death Knight is approaching. When they sensed it, they all turned their attention to it. There were another 4 Death Knights, and they were all eager to attack the candidates. All of them had the same horrified expression on their faces. Meanwhile, Taehyun was busy inspecting the body of the defeated Death Knight. He felt that something was off. He looked at their bodies. Ma Dohak is catching his breath. He cursed in his mind when he noticed that every time they defeat one of the monsters, they came back twice the number. On top of that, the candidates were all exhausted. Everyone is at their limits, and he knows that if it continues, they will all die. Taehyun told Dohak that something was off. He watched Taehyun's calm expression as he approached him. Dohak wondered who Taehyun was. After all that fighting, Taehyun is not even tired, and he was the first to realize that the gate was dangerous. And on top of that, if it was not for Monarch's stats, the team's stats won't be higher, and they wouldn't have even lasted that long. He's suspicious if he was really a C-rank awakened. He then asked Taehyun what he meant when he said that something is off. Our MC admitted that he might just be guessing, but those monsters don't seem to be Death Knights. They were all shocked and rejected the idea. They questioned what they were fighting against all this time. Taehyun gripped one of the swords and answered that he's going to go and find that out. He also activated his stone skin upon touching the weapon. Taehyun has dashed right towards the army of the said Death Knights. He did not hesitate to approach them with an incredible speed. The monsters raised their weapons against him. The collision caused a huge explosion. The monster was confused. When the smoke cleared, Taehyun was no longer standing there. They didn't know that he was above them. Kim Taehyun ran above their heads, and when he found the right opportunity, he decided to attack. But he's not aiming for those moving monsters. Instead, his target was the statue. His sword was about to reach the statue. It pierced its head, and then the statue was shattered into pieces. But nothing happened, and the monsters were chasing him. All of a sudden, the monsters that were about to reach him from behind glowed, and they started disappearing. The whole area is being cleared of the gloomy red scene. Dohak was shocked to see that everything they saw was an illusion. Taehyun confirmed that it is indeed an illusion trap. It's a trap that shows an imaginary space and enemies. It's a tactic to drain the intruder's energy. One of the candidates was annoyed with the idea that they struggled just because of a mere illusion. Dohak inquired on how Taehyun knew that it was a trap, and with a serious expression, Taehyun expressed that he knew there's no way the Death Knights would have been that weak. Dohak was extremely shocked. Taehyun encouraged them to get moving before they all got killed. They walk on a dark path, and their only source of light is the power of Ma Dohak. Taehyun is supporting one of the candidates. The illusion faded, but things did not get any better. After the Apocalypto's manifestation, the dungeon space was completely transformed. Yet they couldn't just wait for rescue. Their only hope was to find the dungeon's exit. After a while, they saw something above them, and Dohak declared that they found it. The door in front of them was so massive that they have to look up since they're close to it.
Regression with the King's power has left us with an MC who seems to have no idea what he's doing. Is he just going with the flow or making it up as he goes along? Taehyun is definitely finding himself caught between a rock and a hard place.
Indeed, the situation with Taehyun is becoming increasingly precarious. His journey with the King's power has left him navigating uncharted waters, often unsure of the best course of action. It's as if he's caught in a constant balancing act between adapting to his circumstances and forging his own path. With each step, the pressure seems to mount. pushing him further into uncertainty. Yet it's in these moments of challenge that true character is revealed. Let's see how Taehyun rises to the occasion and whether he can navigate the complexities ahead with finesse.
Finesse? Nah, our boy's better off channeling his inner Captain America and punching his way out of this, or better yet, somehow unlocking Predation. It's time for some serious power moves.
Whether it's through sheer determination or unleashing a strategic game plan, he's got to find a way to turn the tide in his favor. The stakes are high, but Taehyun has proven time and again that he's not one to back down for a challenge. Even in his past life, he has shown this personality trait.
He better Cody Rhodes this, or this could be the end of his story.
The candidates find it suspicious and dangerous, but Dohad told them that if they don't open it, they know that they will just perish in that dungeon. The door was then slowly opened. Ma Du-hak was the one that led their entrance, and from that little crease, he was surprised at what he saw. There were several skulls on the side, and at the center of it is a crouched knight being supported by his sword. It was the same monster as the illusion earlier. One of the candidates celebrated since there's only one, but later on, their purple halos glowed and revealed more Death Knights. The shock froze them. All of a sudden, the skulls on the side emitted fire that illuminated the whole room. It revealed that there were more Death Knights on the side, and the room had several floors, all housing Death Knights. An army of it stood before them, with a leader in front. They trembled as they took a look around. The pressure inside the room suddenly felt too heavy, because right in the middle, there was a Death Knight sitting on a throne. It spoke and addressed the lowly humans who dared to come in there. This Death Knight had a glowing purple mask on one side of the face, and he announced for the battle to begin. This right here is the master of the Double Dungeon Apocalypto. He is the Lord of the Death Knights and is at S rank. The surrounding Death Knights moved. In perfect synchrony, they all pounded the tips of their swords on the ground. The Death Knights marched forward. The Death Knight that was in front pointed its sword at them. The candidates were confused on what's going on and why the Death Knight acted that way. Taehyun expressed that it looked like the knight wanted a one-on-one duel. They panicked upon hearing that. One of them complained that he doesn't have any magic left in him. Taehyun told them to calm down and reminded them that their goal is to escape, not to fight. But because of their fear, 3 of the candidates bolted. They claimed that they would rather go back to where they started. They ran for their lives. One Death Knight saw them and acted immediately. The slash went through Do-hak and Taehyun as it was intended for those who were running away. It directly hit those 3, to which resulted in them coughing up blood. Do-hak and Taehyun were surprised to see that. Taehyun was horrified. He yelled for his supervisor. He told him that they will buy them some time so he should go find the exit. But something unexpected happened. Do-hak threw him and the other candidate he's supporting away from the door, and Do-hak casted a spell. A wall suddenly appeared right in front of our MC. Taehyun panicked and asked what nonsense he was doing. Do-hak told him to shut up and reminded him not to act so high and mighty as a low-level awakener. Taehyun was caught off guard and got confused. Do-hak then admitted that he wanted to be an S-ranked player, but no matter how much he trained and improved, he only felt farther from it instead of feeling closer. He expressed that he sees this as an opportunity for him. If he could resolve that special case, he might be treated almost as good as an S rank. Do-hak followed that with a loud laugh. The Death Knight rushed towards him. He activated his magic and drew a triangle, and it sliced through the Death Knight. Do-hak continued to speak with Taehyun. He told him that he's different from him. He hated to admit it, but he expressed that Kim Taehyun has the talent, and with that, he urged him to run away, to take the injured and escape as far as he can. He told him that it's the role of the supervisor to hold the enemies off. Do-hak gathered all his strength for a powerful attack. Taehyun couldn't believe his supervisor. He turned to look at the candidates, but by the looks of it, they were already dead. And at that moment, the wall behind him collapsed. He turned to see what had happened. Taehyun saw his supervisor face down on the ground, and the sword of the Death Knight pierced his back. The sword was deep and made Do-hak's backside. He laid there lifeless. Taehyun had a doomed expression on his face. The Death Knight removed his sword from Do-hak's body and pointed that sword at Taehyun and invited him to a duel. He just stood frozen with a sword pointed at his face. Moments passed, and none of them moved. Something caught Taehyun's attention. A shiny object was in front of him. It was the Sage's ring. He remembered that his supervisor wore it, right at the very last moment. He managed to evade the attack while retrieving the ring. He knew that this item right here was his only chance to make it out there alive. He wore the ring and Taehyun begged it to wake up. The ring's red crystal glowed. The Death Knights had him surrounded. The ring's light grew brighter than it was already blinding. The Lord of the Death Knights was surprised, because in just a single move, the knights surrounding Taehyun got defeated. The whole area was suddenly painted with an ominous red glow. The Lord of the Knights was confused. He ordered his men to wake up and wondered what kind of power was that. A notification window had appeared. It announced that the Sage Ring has been equipped and all stats are increased by 10. All conditions are met and the seal of Predation is released. Starting from now, the real fight begins.
If you're finding this story engaging, feel free to drop a comment below. I'd love to discuss the unfolding narrative and hear your thoughts. And if you're enjoying the tales shared, don't forget to hit that like button. For more captivating stories like this, simply click on any of the links by my side, and together, let's dive into more immersive worlds. Your feedback and interaction make this journey all the more exciting.